If there's one thing that's undeniable about Draymond Green, it's his confidence. So when Green claimed he was the greatest defender in NBA history earlier this week, people applauded him for how much he believes in himself as a player. In reality, that isn't what happened. People got really mad, and for valid reasons. There are a lot of great defenders in NBA history, and individual defense itself is a tough thing to assess, especially when you're comparing it across different eras. So is Draymond right? Let's try to figure it out. Take a break from all the trade deadline talk, sit back, stop checking Twitter, and take this in. Before we jump into the video, I think it would be offensive if you didn't subscribe to our channel. Matter of fact, I might get a little defensive like Draymond if I don't see those numbers go up. Now back to Draymond. Here is what he said on the Dubs Talk podcast.
I think when you look at the things that make a great defender, reaction time, toughness, being able to see the picture long before it develops, and most importantly, in order to finish a defensive possession, you got to rebound. And I think I rebound well. And so I think I'm the best defender to ever play in the NBA.
Green explains the multiple facets of what it takes to be a great defender in the NBA, but being able to assess all the qualities of a defender and make a definitive suggestion as to who is the greatest is tough. And relying on numbers, which we usually do for offensive arguments, makes things even trickier. Most of the advanced metrics used to analyze defenders didn't come into play until this century. Defensive rating, which shows points allowed per 100 possessions, is a common metric but has its flaws because it doesn't take into consideration what other defenders the player shares the court with. For example, Rudy Gay leads the NBA in defensive rating right now, and he is nowhere near an elite defender.
Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts. Oh, it hurts.
It was only a couple of years ago when NBA.com gave us access to opponent shooting percentages, which shows us how well defenders guarded an offensive player through their shooting numbers. But shooting percentages are only one aspect of the game. Like Draymond said in his quote, it's reaction time, telegraphing plays, being a versatile defender. The data-driven website 538 created its own defensive metric in 2019. Defensive rating accounting for yielding minimal openness by nearest defender, or also known as Draymond, which Green led from 2013 to 2019. Yes, he has his own defensive statistic named after him, which is actually a pretty good argument in his favor, but anyways. Before the newer advanced metrics, we had box plus minus, which relies on a player's box score information and the team's overall performance to estimate a player's performance relative to league average. But that only started on a game-to-game basis in 1985. Box plus minus is a combination of offensive and defensive plus minus. By defensive box plus minus, here are the 10 best defenders in NBA history, with David Robinson of the San Antonio Spurs towering over anyone else in that category. Draymond's defensive box plus minus is the 4th best in NBA history, but the issue with defensive box plus minus is that it highly incentivizes rebounding, which leads to a statistic that mostly supports the case of big men. The box plus minus formula was pushed further with real plus minus, which isolates the unique plus minus impact of each NBA player by adjusting for the effects of each teammate and opposing player, and usually provides a more accurate season-to-season look at player impact. For example, Rudy Gobert, the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, leads the league in defensive real plus minus this season. Draymond ranks 341st. Looking at raw steals, blocks, or rebounding numbers is tricky because the NBA didn't start tracking the statistics until 1973 and didn't accurately record rebounds until 1950. So with that being said, who has a case to be the greatest defender of all time? Bill Russell is probably the easiest answer, anchoring a revolutionary Celtics defense at the time on his way to 11 championships. He also has the highest defensive win shares in NBA history at 133.64, which is a metric that estimates the number of wins a player produces for his team due to his defensive ability. Hakeem Olajuwon has a case with the most blocks in NBA history, along with 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards to his name and 2 NBA championships. What may hurt Hakeem's case is that while his peak was outstanding, his career longevity holds him back. Tim Duncan, despite never winning a Defensive Player of the Year, is second only to Bill Russell in defensive win shares and 12th in defensive box plus minus in NBA history. And in his 19-year career, the Spurs were never below 11th in terms of defensive rating. As for Draymond's argument, he's a 3-time NBA champion, a 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, and led the Warriors to 2 of the best defensive seasons in NBA history from 2015 to 2017. But Draymond doesn't even crack the top 200 in career defensive win shares. But again, even comparing all of these guys is difficult because they played in different eras with different playing styles, different rules, and different statistical outcomes to match. For example, it'd be tough to compare Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain's ridiculous rebounding numbers in the 50s and 60s with the rebounding numbers of current NBA players because of the high pace back then, which resulted in more shots that equaled more rebounds. And the obvious fact that Russell and Chamberlain towered over the rest of the players. It's also tough to compare defenders who played before the 2004-2005 season to today's game, where zone defense is allowed and hand checking isn't. That's why defense requires some nuance, utilizing both the numbers and your own eyes to determine who would be the best. Personally, I don't think Draymond is the greatest defender ever, but he is probably the smartest defender ever, telegraphing plays, directing teammates, and being one of the best defensive anchors on some of the best defensive teams in NBA history. But people clearly don't agree with Green's comments. Do you think there's someone we forgot to mention, or do you think Green is right? Let us know what you think in the comments.